Hello and welcome to the Stinger, your super fans guide to the latest in Marvel, Star Wars, DC, and much more in fandom entertainment. I am your host, Josh Gann. Joining me as always from the frigid southeast of the United States of America, it's Trent, Neely, and Joseph Snead. How we doing, boys?
You know, it's too cold for Georgia. The whole reason we came here was for temperate winters, and it was 15 degrees a couple days ago. Like, what are we doing here?
It's too cold for Virginia. It was like 70 on Christmas a year ago.
Right. Like, what are we doing? We got 3 inches of ice in our roads and in our front yards. We're trapped inside. It doesn't make sense.
Being trapped, I started a new classic American TV show that I promise this is true.
Oh,
I had never watched an episode before.
ooh, what era are we talking?
We're talking old. We're
Oh.
talking like 60s.
Like
Ooh.
sitcom, like a sitcom.
Yeah, I guess famous TV show. One of the most famous TV shows ever been made.
Do you have a
What? Trent?
MASH?
Oh, Trent was breaking up.
Was it MASH?
No, it wasn't MASH. Haven't seen MASH.
Okay.
What is Happy Days that era?
I think it's before Happy Days. I'll give you a hint because I can't whistle the theme song.
Oh, Andy Griffith?
Yep. I've never seen an episode of Andy Griffith.
Classic.
Wow.
And
What on earth?
let me tell you,
Really?
3 episodes in, this show is fantastic.
Oh, okay. The Andy Griffith show, man. Wow. I have not my grandparents used to put that on for me and my brother when they would babysit us. Like they had I'm pretty sure they had it on like VHS. It was like I kid you not. I spent a lot of days at their house watching either the Andy Griffith show or the Waltons. And bruh, I didn't think I would hear that come up today. I'm not gonna lie. What made you put the Andy Griffith show on?
I was just like, you know what? This is just a happy little show. I've been
True.
in the house,
Yeah.
I've been in the house by myself. Let me just get some,
Wow.
some
That is
because growing up, we watched a lot of Gilligan's Island and I Love Lucy. So
Okay,
I've seen those. But yeah, Andy Griffith.
dang. That's crazy. I did not expect to hear that today. If you're just joining us for the first time, this is not a podcast about early 60s and 70s TV shows. This is a podcast about fandom entertainment. You can subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcast and follow us on YouTube. Follow us on social media at The Stinger Pod. Today, I'm very excited because it is an annual tradition for us to draft the most anticipated movies and TV shows of the year. We've done it each of the last 3 years, and I'm not gonna lie, I am ashamed to say I lost the results to last year's draft. Do you guys remember what you picked last year?
I remember I did. I did Wicked for Good, Predator Badlands.
Oh shoot!
Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning, and Wake Up Dead Man, and then I've only seen. I still at this moment have only seen one of those projects. Not because I don't want to watch the rest. I just
you've only seen one of those.
I have seen Mission Impossible. I've not gotten around to Wake Up Dead Man yet.
Oh, dude, I just watched it this weekend. Very good.
I've heard great things.
Good. I don't even remember what I watched last year.
That's the thing, man. That's what's so great about this exercise is you go in and you think you know what's going to happen, and then something is inevitably going to flop, and something's inevitably going to. So there will be. I bet you there will be something we don't even draft today that ends up owning the year.
Who drafted Sinners last year?
Right, exactly. Who drafted K-pop Demon Hunters?
Right.
Yeah, I didn't know K-pop Demon Hunters existed until my girlfriend watched it.
I forget who did it, but somebody drafted Thunderbolts as like a backup pick last year.
For real?
And then Thunderbolts
I could see that could have been me.
And then Thunderbolts got good reviews, and we were like, "Oh, this is like really good."
Thunderbolts was very, very good in my opinion.
the most memorable movie to me last year was Superman. So
yeah, I do remember I did pick Superman first overall, and I think that, you know, that
That
stood
worked
the
out.
test. That stood the test of time. I
yeah,
remember also picking Frankenstein, and I still haven't watched Frankenstein, but I need to. It got like 9 Oscar
I'm about to
nominations.
say
So
Best Picture nomination.
yeah,
Gotta
yeah,
go through all the nominees. F1 made it onto the list, which I
that's
was
ridiculous.
surprised.
That is crazy. I could not. Yeah, quick Oscars side tangent. Do Trent, is F1 deserving of a Best Picture nomination?
I mean, it's in my top 10, and they do nominate 10 movies from the year, but like, is it like a pinnacle of cinema? Like, no, but is it a really like fun, classical, like almost 80s style blockbuster? Yeah. So like,
Yeah,
and
I
it
don't
was fun.
like it's kind of bizarre that it got there, but like, I'm not upset that it's there.
and the thing too is you see it with Sinners breaking the record for
Yeah,
most
Most
nominations, which
nominations.
I
yeah,
haven't seen, so I can't speak to Sinners, but um, it seemed like last year was a weak movie year.
Mm-hmm.
Not an indictment.
It was a
Not,
weaker crop last year.
not
Yeah.
an indictment on Sinners. It's just it's saying like Sinners stood out
Yeah,
even more because the rest of the movies from last year were just kind of not
yeah.
great.
There
Yeah.
weren't. There were like Sinners, one battle after another, and then there were a lot of like
And then I feel
good
like Marty
movies.
Supreme entered the conversation at the very end because it
Yeah.
came out like on Christmas.
Yep.
Like,
And Avatar is probably going to stuff.
Well, did Avatar? That was so surprising to me. Like no best picture for Avatar. That's something they have gotten in the past. So
they've gotten it for the other two, and then they're like,
yeah,
"No, Jim, we're
not this
past
time.
you."
Not this time.
And I
Have either
feel
of you seen Avatar yet?
Nope.
Yeah, me either.
no,
Not because I
no,
don't want to, but I'm just like, man, 3 hours is a long time, and like,
it,
I'm
it
busy.
it came out right before Christmas. My girlfriend lives in another city, and then I went to Nicaragua on a mission trip, and it hasn't lined up for me to see it yet. Now
Yeah.
she has seen it and did like it,
Okay. So
but
the thing. Sorry, go. I cut you off, Joseph.
I don't know anything about it other than she liked it because I said you're not allowed to talk to me about this until I see it.
Yeah. The thing for me is the draw to seeing this movie is to see it in 3D or IMAX or both.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's gonna cost like $30 if I want to do that just for me. And
Yep.
I'm like, I'm not trying to spend that much for one movie, especially a movie that like I know it's not gonna change my view of cinema. Like I know that much already. Like I don't think it's going to like
Yeah,
revolutionize me. And like that's why I need to see for a $30 ticket, James Cameron.
I know, but see, I agree. But then part of my brain's also like, I thought that about Before the Way of Water, and then Payakon
Yeah.
did kind of revolutionize my world. Like,
That's true. That's facts. Hey,
yeah.
Payakon, I get it. Yeah.
But
Payakon
and then
has that
the thing
magic.
too, the movie made over $1 billion, but I think it's starting. There's starting to be diminishing returns with Avatar
yeah,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the first two like everything except for Endgame, which is like the biggest movie experience of the 21st century.
Yeah.
And now this one, you can't call it a disappointment because it made
No.
like $1.5 billion or whatever it ends up being, 1.8. I haven't even checked, but it's not like almost 3 like the other ones were.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Even with the 3D sales.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely is not. It doesn't seem to be having the same staying power. As we head into 2026, there's a lot on the table here. I'm not gonna like go through the list because we all have our secret draft strategies behind the fold, but it's a big year. We were talking about it beforehand. It's a big year for a lot of different properties, movies and television.
Mm-hmm.
Last year I would say from a box office standpoint, I felt like was um some of the bigger names in the superhero industry, Superman, Fantastic Four, in particular, were up there. And I felt like last year was the first year we saw the demand isn't there as much anymore, even for those like A-list names of comic book heroes. Would y'all agree?
No, I mean, somebody pointed this out on Twitter a couple months ago. That was like Aquaman. Like, no offense, Joseph, I know you love Aquaman, but like, not top tier superhero for most people. In 2018, that made $1 billion.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
a new Superman movie, it was the highest grossing superhero thing that last year, and it made 650 million.
Yep.
So it's like it's less. Like, for sure, the appetite is diminished. There's no way to go about it anymore. We can't really say COVID anymore. We can't say the strikes.
Right.
Like,
right.
the appetite itself is just less.
I would push back a little bit. I don't think it's directly COVID now. I think it's indirectly COVID now with how big, because the streaming services were just getting their feet under them. It happened, and so you see stuff with that. I still think the main problem with the superhero movies right now is that there was just such a string of not well received ones.
Yeah.
DC has one well received movie every 4 years or whatever
Right.
it is. Between The Dark Knight, the first Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and so DC as a brand, I think DC the brand failed more than Superman, and I think from even what we've seen financially on Superman, it was a financial success. Critics seem to like it. I don't think you can make the comparison because when Iron Man came out, nobody knew who Iron Man was, and Superman is like top 3 superhero along with Batman and Spider-Man. But I think you almost have to start comparing Superman to like an average Phase 1 Marvel movie where they're trying to build the brand back up.
Yeah.
And then with Fantastic Four, I think Fantastic Four and Thunderbolts to a degree suffered from Marvel quality fatigue. Not necessarily Marvel, but the TV shows on Disney Plus have gotten very lackluster.
Yep.
Recently, with the occasional gem.
Yep.
The movies haven't been well received between the Marvels, Captain America 4, Thor 4, and some other ones that I'm forgetting, that the brand has just been damaged.
Yeah.
And so I think it's more of that than an actual fatigue. Really, I think it's bad movie fatigue.
Yeah.
And so the people used to see Marvel on a movie and say like, hey, I'm going to go and have a good time for 2.5 hours. And it's except for a couple of exceptions, be the best movie you've ever seen.
Yeah.
But you're guaranteed a good time. And then the last few years, that hasn't been the case.
Right. Yeah, it's true.
And I think in addition to what you're saying, people's movie-going habits in general have changed. Like, to get there are film nerds, there are superhero nerds, and then there's just like the general audience. And I just think to get the general audience to the movie theater now, you need an event movie. And to be honest, like, I don't think these movies are always event movies anymore. I'm not even saying in the way they're made, but in the appetite for them. Like, I thought Superman would be that kind of like event movie, but it was for a larger portion of people, but it's not anymore, especially to a global audience. I think we are seeing that the global audience doesn't see superhero movies as an event movie anymore, and probably only the really big A-list characters are going to be seen as events anymore. Whereas in the 2016 to 2019 era, as Marvel was in their heyday in Phase 3, every single movie was an event, and it's just changed.
And I think the other thing you have to look at too is, we all have memories of going and seeing what 4 to 6 movies a year when we were kids.
Yeah, probably more than that, to be honest. Like,
and you look at it, it's each of us has the one sibling. I think, I'm sorry if I'm forgetting either of your siblings.
No, I think
and then our parents. So each of us grew up in the average family of 4 in the mid 2000s. What's the cost to take a family of 4 to the movie theater then?
Yeah.
and it's it's crazy. Can you get a family of four into a movie theater without concessions, without snacks and anything for under $60?
Right.
Yeah. No, it's extremely hard. And so
And Disney Plus is $20 a month, and you have this huge catalog of movies, and you can get I'm talking from a family perspective because adults are probably the ones more inclined to get HBO and Paramount and things. But you can get Disney Plus for $20 a month
yeah.
and watch whatever kids movie pretty much that you want.
Yeah. And I think that's what we're gonna see, because we have a lot of items on our list for this year that we're about to draft. And I want to revisit this conversation at the end of the year to see, like, okay, what was the appetite there for? What were the event movies? What were the things that people were willing to take their family
Mm-hmm.
for to the movies to see? Because, like, there's a lot of big properties on this list that I'm looking at that I think are probably going to miss because there's just not enough money and appetite to go around to feed like all of these anymore. So
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a really, like, who's in the driver's seat when we talk about DC, Marvel, Star Wars, etc. Like, who's in the driver's seat now? It might not even be any of those. Like, I think we're going to be it's going to be really interesting to see. So
No,
um
I'll go even a step further. I think this is like actually a super critical year for both DC and Marvel. Like
yeah.
I can see a world where if the DC movies don't do super well this year, the ambition, I'm not saying it would go away, but the ambitions of the DCU shrink a ton. And
Oh,
then
for
it
And
sure, man.
and
Yeah.
then it just becomes about let's make a couple movies with our marquee characters, Wonder Woman, Batman,
Yeah.
Superman, and then be done, and not do, a million spin-offs and TV shows about
Yeah.
all these lesser things. And same thing for Marvel, where it's like they're doing this culmination event movie this year, and they're gonna try to set up for like the rebuild. But if like people don't care about Doomsday, like what do they rebuild from? I don't know.
It's like,
and
do we just do X-Men now? Like, I
So
think,
we'll see.
yeah, we'll
and
see,
then
man.
the thing with DC also is, if you look at, we've got a couple of movies and TV shows for DC coming out this year. If they don't do good, Warner Brothers is going through an acquisition right now.
Yes,
Right,
they are.
right, yeah,
Does
man.
Yes,
does Netflix come in and say, "Hey, Supergirl made $300 million and Clayface made $75 million. We don't think these are viable. We're
Yeah.
going to do Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash."
Honestly, I think we could be getting there. Yeah, man.
So
It's gonna be real fascinating. So this is a big year for a lot of different movies. We're about to draft them all. And so what is success for you guys, like, at the end of the year? If you look at your draft board, will you be what will you be happy if you drafted, like, a stellar roster, or like one big hit?
I'm gonna go more with the heart this year's. If I
All
get if
right,
I
all
get like
right.
one big hit in there, that's awesome. And if I get multiple, that's really great. But you know
Okay.
what? Like I'm actually gonna try to go for like this is stuff that I actually like am genuinely excited to see
All right,
in
yeah.
26. So
That's the
that's my
spirit
yeah,
of what we do.
yeah, I think I'm going to do the same thing. Like there's a few things that I'm like, you know what, I really want to see this, and then some others that I'm like, you know what, we'll just see what happens. We're going to take a flyer. As we're winding down the NFL season and the draft is in April.
Yeah.
Nobody hits on an entire draft.
That's right.
You may do
That's
pretty
right.
well, but
Yeah.
there might be a stinker in here, but you might get a sixth round gem.
That's right.
Tom
Get
Brady.
you a
Tom
little
Brady was picked.
seventh rounder Kyle Manungai. You might find a little something like that.
Yeah,
Uh
that dude. Like that dude's gonna be in my nightmares. And so is
I
Caleb Williams with his purple fingernail voodoo magic.
I never thought I'd live to see the
Yeah.
day where I heard a Packers fan say something like that.
Now,
It's good times.
He's not the boogeyman like old Rogers is for you guys yet. He's not that boogeyman.
Well, no, but
He's got a long way
he's
to
got a
go.
long
For
way
that.
to go. He's got a long way to
He
go.
could be like boogeyman the fifth. He's got to work his way up.
That's all right. We got plenty of years to get there. All right, let's do so we're about to draft, what we think are the most anticipated, what we're looking forward to the most. So this to the listener listening to this right now, let this plan your viewing calendar for the year. We're going to select our order now. How I am going to do this is I've generated the order already, and you're gonna pick your spot based on. I went down to the basement and found I have a Mandalorian Monopoly set that I forgot I had. So you're gonna choose your character. You can choose little baby Grogu here. You can choose Mando, Din Djarin, or you can choose shout out rest in peace to the homie Queel. Pick your character, and that'll be your spot. I'll tell you where your spot is. Trent, I'll start with you.
I'll take Queel, my guy.
All right, Queel. Joseph.
Let me get the baby.
Baby Grogu. All right. Our order is set. I will be picking first. Mando had the first slot. Joseph, you will be selecting second. And Trent, you'll be wrapping things up at third. I feel like this is our draft order every year.
I was gonna say, I feel like I've been the third for like at least 2 of the drafts.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I don't like the pressure at first. So I'm good with the middle or the
do an end of year ranking, and whoever we deem had the worst draft gets to go first next year.
Ooh. Okay.
Ooh.
I like that. We'll do that. Heading into 2027. I like that. All right. Well, that's not what we did this time.
No.
I got the first pick. And like I said, big movie year, big TV year. A lot of Marvel, DC, Star Wars each have big projects up. That, these companies are like praying they make a ton of money. But I'm not gonna go with something any of those studios are putting out. This is tricky because I think I know where Joseph's gonna go with what I leave on the table. And this is not like a year ago, I would not have even thought I'd be making this pick. But here I am now. With the first pick in the 2026 draft, I am picking The Odyssey by Christopher Nolan.
Ooh.
I mean, talk about one of the greatest stories of all time. I had to refresh myself on what it was even about the other day, but still, we're talking about one of the greatest stories of all time. We're talking about every star in Hollywood. Matt Damon, Anne Hathaway, Tom Holland, John Bernthal, Zendaya. We got a murderer's row of talent on screen in this movie.
Yeah.
And Christopher Nolan coming off his achievement in winning Best Picture and Best Director for Oppenheimer. He's taking all that money and he's going spectacle. He's going big. He's going huge. And I know that this is not the typical IP that we're talking about, but it's it's literally adapting one of the formative stories that we all learned growing up. So no one has pushback for the Odyssey, right? All right.
Yeah, no. That was my number one. If I was the number one, that was gonna be my pick. So
okay. So yeah, I can't wait. Christopher Nolan's putting my butt in seat opening night. I cannot wait for this movie.
It's amazing how amazingly simple my brain can be sometimes. That teaser trailer was just like Matt Damon voiceover and like men rowing boats, and I was like, let's go. This is gonna be the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I have not seen a Christopher Nolan movie in the theaters since The Dark Knight Rises.
Really? Woof.
And I want to change that this time.
Oh
yeah, you do.
I haven't seen a new Christopher Nolan movie, or I haven't seen one of his movies that's come out since like Interstellar.
Oh, really?
If I have to be completely honest, I have only seen Christopher Nolan's 3 Batman movies and Interstellar.
You didn't see Oppenheimer?
No, I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet.
You haven't seen
I thought you
and
did.
like
I thought you did for some
No, I
reason.
haven't seen it.
Dunkirk
But-
and
Yeah, I want to watch Dunkirk.
Dunkirk is really good.
Dunkirk
Tenet
awesome.
is not bad.
Oh, one day Trent will do a Tenet episode about how like that movie makes no sense, but it's also like the greatest movie ever made with like an amazing score by Ludwig Göransson.
We could do a Nolan draft before this movie comes out.
We could.
Yeah, I may need to do some work, but
I was about to say, it's fun though.
That's right. Hey, you got time.
I'll be like, I guess just give me The Dark Knight because I don't know what else to pick.
It is. I mean, I don't. Yeah, this was your number one as well, Trent. I think this is going to be a huge movie this year.
This movie's going to make so much money.
I think people are very excited for this across many spectrums of life. I mean, come on, it's like, it's ancient Greece. Like this is just cool stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
and as we learned on Sunday, if you were watching the game, Travis Scott is going to be in this movie.
Wait, what?
Did you guys not see that commercial during the AFC Championship?
I did not see that.
Where he's like giving a speech about Odysseus, and people were like, "Is that Travis Scott?" Like, and then people remembered he did the song over the end credits of Tenet. So like he and Nolan do have this connection.
That's right. That's crazy.
Man, I can't wait for the discourse around a minority person being in Greece at that time.
Yeah, I thought about that, and then I was like, I'm gonna leave that for
like
other corners of the internet.
This Cyclops in a cave.
Yeah.
But
yeah, there's a Cyclops in it.
Here's the big problem, and the sirens.
And the Trojan horse. I mean, come on, like
the Trojan horse.
This is about to get crazy. All right, I've done enough talking about this. Joseph, you're up.
Dune.
I was like, we know where this is going.
We know.
We
know where this is going.
You started talking, and my heart dropped to my feet. And I was like, he is not gonna steal Dune from me again, is he? Because if y'all remember, Josh did steal.
I did.
Dune Part 2.
Okay, steal, but like there was no other pick for me to make.
Yeah, but I picked it the year before, and then it got delayed. So.
That's true. That's not
your
fault.
Yes, Dune.
Nice.
I don't have a lot to say about Dune. The Dune series is probably my favorite set of movies in the 2020s.
Oh, yes, 100%.
So, and I don't even know how they're going to do this because a lot of stuff was different in the second movie, which I loved.
Yeah.
I don't really know how they're going to do Dune Messiah. If they even do Dune Messiah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just called Dune Part 3, so...
Yeah, now I think they are going to do an adaptation of Dune Messiah. I don't really know how they're going to do it. Because Dune Messiah is a weird book. I liked it, but it's a weird book. And there's some stuff that happened in Part 2 that doesn't gel with how Messiah is set up. So,
the ending was very ambiguous to how the ending of the book was, left things open for new interpretations in Dune Part 3.
Yeah, Chani at the end of the Dune book is like the most ride or die Lisan Al Gaib fan.
Yeah. And
in the movie, that wasn't the case.
Not the case at all.
Interesting.
Which I liked the changes.
Are we getting Anya Taylor-Joy in this?
Yeah, because she cameoed in the second one.
Yep. And we're getting also is Robert Pattinson in this?
Robert Pattinson's in this?
That's right, man.
He's Skitali.
Crazy, man.
And Josh, you've read the book. Trent, can I spoil the end?
I still haven't read it, Joseph.
No. Dune.
Dune one.
Yeah, you can go ahead. I lost my steam on reading. I gotta try to read it again. I gotta pick it up again.
So Alia is like 2 years old in the second half of the book.
I knew that.
And is like the weirdest 2-year-old baby ever.
Uh-huh.
and she is the one that kills Baron Harkonnen, and it's kind of important in the later books why she specifically did that. So it's just different.
Interesting.
Again,
Yep.
I like the emotional payoff of Paul being the one to kill Baron Harkonnen,
Right.
but it's just different. Chani's in a really different place. Jessica is not even in Dune Messiah, like at all. She doesn't appear at all.
Interesting. That's
And
interesting.
I think she might be in it a little bit.
I think Rebecca Ferguson did say, though, I saw an interview with her where she was like, I was on set for literally a day. So she's not in it much.
Oh,
if she was only there for
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
guess it's a spoiler. Sorry, but
No, I don't think that's a huge spoiler if it's out there.
Robert Pattinson's character gonna be super weird.
That's good though. You know that he's good at that.
I was about to say.
He's very good at that.
There's just a lot of different things that happen in Dune Messiah that I'm like, okay, I'm very intrigued to see how this happens. But,
I do think I think Denis Villeneuve has bought some faith. He's bought some goodwill to kind of like take his spin on this story now.
And this was my number one. So I'm glad I got it. I have a feeling I might have got it, but I don't know because I don't know what Trent's gonna do. So I'll shut up and let Trent have his piece.
No, you're good. You guys took my top 2 picks, so good job taking it when you did.
Oh man,
there you go.
Sorry,
you know what? No, it's all good. It's all good because I'm still happy with what's available.
Actually, I'm not sorry because I wanted Dune.
I'm about to say you're like, let's be honest here. I think I gotta take the first Marvel project here. It's gonna be a big movie. It's gonna be Spider-Man Brand New Day.
Oh, I knew I had
zagged
a
little bit. I zagged a little bit.
I had a feeling.
I'm super excited for this movie. I love Spider-Man as a character, probably my favorite superhero besides Batman. I really like what Tom Holland's been doing with the character. I love that Destin Daniel Cretton is directing this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Shang-Chi is underrated, even though everyone agreed it was good when it came out. I feel like it's underrated, and he's just a great director in general with Short Term 12 and Just Mercy. I think he could do something really special with a Spider-Man movie. We have practical web swinging we saw behind scenes footage of actual web swinging again, which we have not really gotten in the Tom Holland era. And I also love that we just this movie's coming out in July, and we don't even. Not only do we not have a trailer, we don't even know anything about this movie.
No.
And I'm they have kept this under wraps. So I know I guess if you really want to look, you can know, but yeah. So
we still don't know. We still don't know who Sadie Sink is. You know.
Yeah, exactly. At the time of recording this, the Super Bowl hasn't happened yet. I imagine either right before the Super Bowl or at the Super Bowl, we will get a trailer for this movie. So we'll know stuff soon. But I'm super excited about it.
So this over Doomsday?
Yeah, for sure. I have zero hesitation about that.
I think I would have done the same thing in your shoes. I just everything you said about it is why I trust this to be good more than I trust Doomsday to be good. I think.
Yep, me too.
Yeah.
I think I would have put Doomsday above this more on a curiosity.
Yeah.
That's totally valid.
Yeah, that's fair.
Just could they pull Doomsday off?
Yep.
And if they don't pull it off and it's a disaster, is it at least a fun disaster? Or is it a really awful disaster?
I know.
Now, so many questions.
But the Shang-Chi thing, I'll throw it out there. I bet we get the best Spider-Man action sequence we've ever gotten.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
at a bare minimum, if nothing else in this movie.
I mean, I've never been more we've gone through rounds and rounds of set photos leaking and speculating and stuff. I don't know if I've ever been so excited for a movie based purely off of a set photo. They didn't reveal anything about any characters or anything, but those set photos of him in New York City.
Yeah.
I mean, I just am the vibe feels like it just feels like they're doing a very true to character Spider-Man story where based off of how things ended in No Way Home, we're getting back to basics. He is the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man of New York City, and we'll see what actually happens, but that's the vibe I got from what we've seen so far. So I'm excited.
Yep.
All right, what you got next, Trent?
And then I'm gonna stay in the superhero realm again. But I'm gonna go to the other side. I'm gonna go to DC for here. I'm taking Lanterns.
Oh, dang it, Trent. I was hoping it slipped to me.
No. I cannot tell you guys how excited I am about this TV show. Like Green Lanterns, such a cool character, such a cool concept. The idea that it's created by Damon Lindelof, who did Lost and the Watchmen TV series, and Chris Mundy, who did Ozark, like two of the best TV minds, arguably working right now, are doing a Green Lantern thing, but also it's like a buddy cop show with Kyle Chandler of Friday Night Lights fame,
Yeah,
like Coach
yeah.
Taylor doing the Green Lantern Oath. Are you kidding me? I'm unbelievably excited. And then as soon as I watched Rebel Ridge last year or 2024, maybe, I was like, this guy should be Jon Stewart. And then like 3 weeks later, they're like, this guy's gonna be Jon Stewart, and I was like, awesome. So no, I'm so pumped for Lanterns. HBO has a great track record with doing cop detective mystery shows. So the fact that like the DCU is getting to use those HBO resources to do a cop show in the DC universe, I have very high hopes for this.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, my two favorite DC heroes of all time, Green Lantern and Aquaman.
So how hype are you for this show?
If Trent didn't pick it, I was going to.
Yeah.
It does not exceed Dune for me, but Lanterns was my number 2 pick of the year.
Do we know how many episodes it's going to be?
I imagine it's going to be 8. That seems to be like the standard HBO number, 8 to 10, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I mean, I love Green Lantern. Green Lantern is really cool. I liked Green Lantern. I used to watch reruns of like the Super Friends from the 80s, like when our parents were kids. Green Lantern's hilarious in that. Ryan Reynolds made a Green Lantern movie that
we don't talk about it. We don't talk about
good. Yeah, I just think the concept of Green Lantern is really cool. The intergalactic space police.
Yeah.
But then another cool thing about the Lanterns, I don't think we'll get it in this show, is there's more than just Green Lanterns.
Oh, there are.
And there's more than just Yellow Lanterns.
There are.
There's like literally every color has a lantern. But if a Black Lantern comes around, you're in trouble because they're the like zombie lanterns. The black is like the death one.
Oh, interesting.
So
I just want to see the Red Lantern who's a cat and is the only good Red Lantern.
But yeah, I'm really excited for this. And Guy Gardner was like such an idiot in Superman, but I loved him. He was hilarious.
It'll be cool to see him again.
Yeah, I think this is going to be good. I'm really excited.
Is there a release date for this?
Summer of this year. So I think
Summer.
like June or July.
All right.
I think it'll come out after Supergirl.
Yeah, I think so.
Probably, yeah. Well, I'm excited. I can't wait. All right, 2 solid picks, Trent. Joseph, you're up.
Yeah, I was going to go Lanterns. I don't know if this next one's going to get back to me though. Don't want to give me Doomsday.
There you go.
I was like, if this squeaks into the 3rd round somehow, I will take this, but there's no way.
No, I don't think Doomsday was getting back to you, Trent. I'll take it. Like I was saying earlier, I think this is maybe the movie I'm the most curious about.
I would agree with that.
I'm pretty set on Dune. I think Dune will, even if Dune Part 3 is not as good as Part 2, I still think it's going to be a good movie. Like I think it's got good emotional stakes in it from the story in the books. I'm pretty secure in Dune. This one, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if we said it about Endgame. Like, how are they going to balance this many characters? Well, if 2/3 of them are dead for half the movie, it's easy. But I don't know what they're going to do with this. There's going to be so many movies. We're tying together the X-Men universe, the Avengers, the Fantastic Four. So 3 universes with all these different people. Dr. Doom is calling the shots. Dr. Doom played by Robert Downey Jr., which I don't know how that's going to go over. I'm sure it'll be a good performance, but it's just going to be weird.
I agree. Like it's It's either gonna be like, oh my gosh, the Russo brothers did it again, or the train wreck you can't take your eyes off of.
Because the Russo brothers have not had a good track record since Endgame,
No.
and so financially, I think it's actually going to be a huge success.
Yeah, I think it will. This will make
Because
money.
everyone feels the same way. They're like, I kind of got to just see.
Yeah.
I just got to see what happens. Apparently, it's like an emotional, maybe spiritual sequel to Endgame, and it's bringing together stuff from a lot of the TV shows and the movies. I'm more curious than anything about it.
Yeah. Do you guys? Is there any chance this movie is just like mid and just average?
I mean,
Yeah.
If it's literally just cameos and then like, oh look, it's this character, and then they all like die at the end, and that's the movie. Like that could be fun action, but like pointless at the end of the day. And so I think that's the mid scenario for me at least.
I think we've looked at it so far. Endgame has stayed in the pop culture.
Yeah.
Endgame has lasted. I think this could be forgettable in a couple of years.
I mean, how could you imagine an Avengers movie with like every Marvel superhero you've ever seen just being like, oh yeah, I forgot they made that.
I don't think it will be forgettable, but I think it's a chance. I think
what's most interesting, because we haven't talked on mic about like the trailers yet.
Right.
The trailer set up this idea that like this movie is very serious, and I'm like, if the movie is actually brave enough to not have like the Marvel quippiness, jokiness, and is actually like a straight angsty drama, I think that would be awesome.
Yeah.
I am cynical enough though that like the humor is such a big part of Marvel's brand. There's like no way that this doesn't have a million jokes in it.
Well, when you look at that last teaser with Shuri and Thing, I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So that's how they're gonna set this up. It's basically like it. That trailer made me. The other trailers got me excited. That trailer made me nervous.
Me too.
I think the main players might be the ones that do the serious stuff, and then the side characters will be maybe the comedic relief. Because you got to look too at the Russo brothers. Winter Soldier, pretty serious movie.
Yep.
But had some humor. Civil War, pretty serious movie with some humor. Infinity War was not as funny, but I think it fit the tone. So Infinity War shows they can do it. And then Endgame kind of was a mixture of the sad angstiness, but still the quips.
Yeah, Infinity War to me, actually, that feels like that it felt like a blockbuster popcorn movie where we're gonna rope you in with like good feelings and excitement and jokes in the beginning, and then we'll rip your heart out at the end.
Yeah,
and then we've got short-haired serious Thor again, which is my personal favorite version of Thor.
That seems to actually be people's favorite trailer. Of I was watching a YouTube video the other day, and they said that was their favorite.
I think that and the X-Men one, because the Captain America one, and I say this as like Captain America stan, like I'm there for him. That one was a little bit desperate.
Yeah, I felt the same way. Like, what are we doing? We're spoiling that he has a kid? That could have been good information to hold for the movie, personally.
Well, but no, I mean, that speaks to Marvel's whole thing. I'm like, there's no way the Marvel machine of 5 years ago reveals that scene of like Cyclops doing the optic blast like that.
No,
like saving that jaw-dropping moment would have been the theater move 100% by them 5 years ago.
They would have done the Magneto voiceover.
Yeah,
not the blast at the end.
Or like, imagine if they had told us Tony had a child in the Endgame trailer. You know, like I feel like we could. I don't know.
Imagine if we knew.
I will say,
if we knew Endgame was 5 years later, before going into the movie.
Yeah,
I just feel like I do think there's a scenario where this movie is actually just mid, but the reactions to it, I think, could be Rise of Skywalker level.
It was so funny. People are bringing up Rise of Skywalker comps already. Like, not that they think the movie's gonna be that bad, but just like it could be for Marvel what Rise of Skywalker was.
That's why it is fascinating. I mean, I have to see this movie for that reason.
I know.
And let's give it the benefit of the doubt, because Trent, I know you remember this. We watched the first trailer for Rise of Skywalker together, and we're both cringing out of our skin when the title card came up.
We did.
Yep.
Because the first trailer I actually thought was good.
It was great. It was Rey like leaping over the TIE interceptor, and I'm like, this is sick. Like, this is great.
And then the title card came up, and we were both like, ugh, I don't know about this one.
Yep. Yeah, man. Oh, I don't know.
I'm rooting for it though. I
don't want it to be bad.
I sound super negative. I'm actually super curious. And then again, at the time we're recording this, no trailer. Heavily rumored, suggested that they're gonna do the first big trailer at the Super Bowl. I think that's probably likely. So by the time this is out, we may already have a trailer.
True.
I think with as much as they've shown now, they've got to show RDJ as Dr. Doom.
That's the only thing left.
Yeah, that probably is the only thing left. Okay, Joseph, Avengers Doomsday took it off the table. I was hoping it snuck to me too, because it's just like, I mean, come on, we're all waiting on pins and needles for that movie at the end of the day. I'm gonna go with my next pick. This is something else I probably wouldn't have thought I had on my list a year ago, and I'm once again gonna step outside of the superhero genre, and I'm gonna go with another novel adaptation. Something coming out pretty soon that there's a lot of buzz about that I think looks very interesting. I'm going to pick Project Hail Mary here.
Dang it. If that was going to sneak to me, I was going to take that.
I love Ryan Gosling. He's the star of this movie. The novel is by Andy Weir. The same author who wrote The Martian. Is that correct?
Yep.
So there's a little bit of, cinema track record there, and I haven't read the book, but I know people who have and absolutely loved it. It's got me interested to try to read the book as well, but I'm too deep. I gotta pick up the slack on Throne of Glass, Joseph, so I probably won't get to it before the movie comes out.
Yeah, I've got the audiobook ready for Empire of Storms.
Yeah,
so,
I gotta catch up, man. I gotta catch up. But Project Hail Mary, this movie just looks very unique and fresh and unlike a lot of what we're talking about today. And that's why I wanted to pick it, is because I think there's a chance this is a really big deal in pop culture as a movie that can be both funny and serious and done really well on with a bigger budget on a big screen, something that is has an auteur approach to it while also appealing to the general audience. So that's kind of my sweet spot. That is my bread and butter in terms of movies that I end up falling in love with. And so that when you have guys like this is because this is Lord and Miller, correct?
This is Lord and Miller.
Yeah.
Very
so
exciting.
when you have Lord and Miller combined with Ryan Gosling, like I've got a good feeling about this combination in this duo right here.
Yeah.
So I bet you, as much as he loves Gosling, Josh will be drafting Starfighter next year.
We'll see.
We're giving away the strategies now.
We'll see. I got to see a little bit more about that movie before I do that. But yeah, I think. Well, honestly, this movie is going to be a little bit of a beta test for what Starfighter could be. I feel like Ryan Gosling in space. So, yeah, I don't know. You anything to add, Trent? I know you're excited about this too.
No, I read the book. Big fan of the book. I'm bummed that the trailers kind of because the book the trailers give away what the book hides a little bit about Project Hail Mary. The book hides it a little bit.
Interesting.
And I have not seen the trailers or read the book, so
okay.
I don't know jack squat about.
Okay,
this
well
movie.
then I won't say too much other than I agree with everything you're saying, Josh. Like Lord and Miller, I'm thoroughly enjoying this Ryan Gosling, like fully enjoying his movie star era with like Barbie and
the Fall Guy,
and like now this. That I'm like yes, he is very charismatic, very charming. The character in the book fits like the Ryan Gosling screen persona perfectly. So yeah, I'm very excited for this.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be big. So Project Hail Mary, taking it off the board. Next off the board, I'm going into the TV world, and I'm picking X-Men 97 season 2.
Dang, Josh! I was like, "There's no way." Like I'm like, I might have to fight Joseph for this, but not Josh.
You did have to fight me for it. I mean, for someone who didn't watch the X-Men animated series and who didn't really read X-Men comics, this was kind of my intro, and who didn't watch the X-Men movies growing up. This was season 1 was kind of like my intro to the X-Men. It got me to go out to the comic store and buy a comic book. It got me to explore some, like, at least the first X-Men movie myself. X-Men 97 season 1 was an absolute thrill ride. I loved it. So, like, it alerted me to the fact that the X-Men are kind of like a soap opera in the best possible way. And now I can't get enough of it. So I am just, obviously there's like drama behind the scenes with the previous creator, Bo DeMayo, being ousted by Marvel. And, there's a lot of just, I don't know. You read a bunch of different things about what's really going on behind the scenes. So it's slightly a new creative team, but they were also already working on season 2 before he was let go. So I think with the grain of salt for me is probably the reason why it lasted until now for me is because, like, there is a little bit of hesitancy on, will this be as good with a different creative team putting it out once we get to the final stretch. So I'm a little hesitant about that, but I have a feeling it's still going to rock either way.
Dang. Yeah. I mean, I think you could argue very easily that X-Men 97 is like the best of the Marvel Disney Plus shows. Like, it's the best thing they've done.
I think
in
you
the TV
could, yeah.
space.
Yeah,
The animation's so unique, and like the emotions of everything work. I mean, the thing that happens to Gambit early on in the show's run. Like, I won't spoil it here, but like that episode, I was like,
yeah, man.
oh, this is different. Like, they're like going hard in the paint.
They're taking swings, yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's like they took, which is basically what they did. They took the '90s show and made a continuation, but for the people that watched the '90s show as kids.
Yeah. Yep.
And yeah, I mean, between X-Men 97, Loki, and maybe Moon Knight, I think those are the best of the Marvel shows. And X-Men 97 too, big Gambit fan here. I was like, this is some good stuff.
Yeah.
And big Cyclops fan. That was some
great show
stuff.
for Cyclops. Great show for Cyclops.
And we need, and I love Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Cyclops needs his day. He's the leader. He does. He's the guy.
He definitely did in the first season.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the other Marvel animation shows, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man notwithstanding, because I thought that one was really good. But you look at like What If, and I'm like, man, how did these two studios how did this studio make both of these shows? Because What If kind of sucks. And X-Men 97, I'd put it up there not just with Marvel Television, but with the stuff they've made post Endgame.
Yeah.
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
It's I can't wait. Do we have a release date for this yet?
I feel like it's in the beginning part of the year.
Okay.
But wait, no, they haven't announced it, have they?
Yeah, I haven't seen anything. That's why I asked. But
I can see it being like a May or June thing.
Yeah, I can see that too. Joseph, you are up next, sir.
You took my X-Men 97. So I think I am going to take an animated movie streaming on Paramount Plus.
Oh.
The Legend of Aang, The Last Airbender.
Oh. Dang, bro. I forgot this was coming out.
I forgot that was 2026.
The adult Aang movie. And I think it comes out in October. Was supposed to be a theatrical release, and those morons over at Paramount were like, you know what? Let's just hurt the Avatar fans and make it so they never have a good time in a movie theater with an Avatar property. And dump it on Paramount Plus, and then be like, oh no, it underperformed. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, big Last Airbender fan. Have not seen Korra. I've seen a few episodes of Korra, and for what it's worth, I liked them, but I just never finished it because I'm not a binger. I don't binge stuff. And it was lower on the list. I think I was watching Deep Space Nine, which is my favorite TV show of all time. I was watching Deep Space Nine, I think, while I was watching Korra, and Korra fell to the wayside. But yeah, really excited to see what they do. The original creators are back. Adult Aang, Katara, Toph, Sokka, your boy Zuko, one of the GOAT fictional characters. Um, yeah, really excited for this. I have absolutely no idea what it's about, but it's about Aang.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I totally forgot this is coming out, but that's a huge whiff because I'm also a giant Last
Dang,
Airbender fan.
I could have got one of my other underrated
You
picks.
could have waited on it. I still so I've watched about a season and a half of the original series.
Good
I never
stuff.
finished it, but I yeah, I should pick this up before this comes out because I really enjoyed what I watched.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's later this year or maybe next year, but there's supposed to be another Avatar show coming out about the Avatar after Korra.
Yes, yes. Okay. Yep. I think I remember that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, Trent, you got two.
Well, I'm gonna stick in the animated realm for what I think could be one of the most fun movies of the year. Talking Super Mario Brothers Galaxy, people.
Oh, good pick.
What a it's funny. We were talking about Doomsday and our fears of like, is this just fan service? Is it just like empty and does it really mean anything? Let me tell you, the first Super Mario Brothers movie is like arguably just fan service and it's empty. But you know what? Trent had the best time watching the Super Mario Brothers movie a few years ago, and so I'm excited to have an even greater time with a whole galaxy of adventures.
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't watched the new trailer, but like that very first one's great. Like Benny Safdie's playing Bowser Jr. for some reason. Great
Wait, that's
casting.
amazing.
Um, Brie Larson's playing Rosalina. Like apparently
That's
one of
right.
her like dream things is to be involved with Nintendo. So like good for her. I think this is just gonna be a blast. I really do.
I mean, this was either my favorite or second favorite Mario game growing up. Like this and Super Mario Sunshine were just like always on in my household between me and my brother. So I'm sure it's not gonna, like it's not they're not gonna, stick to the plot of the game or anything like that. But like if they can give the same, feeling and vibe of hopping from planet to planet, I'll be very happy.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean the first one came out, and yeah, it was pretty by the book,
Yeah.
pretty basic. But honestly, I had a great time. Me and my brother in law went to it, and top two video game for me is probably Mario Kart,
Yeah.
and they went to Rainbow Road, and I was like, "This is the
Oh,
coolest thing I've seen in
yeah.
a while."
Yeah.
And it was just just them racing uh, on Rainbow Road as part of the movie, just like, and it's a good. I think it's a good movie with. It's a good movie to come out, with how serious things are getting around the world, how even some of the movies we're watching are getting more angsty and gritty again. And Mario's just like, I'm just going to hop around and eat mushrooms. And here's this little baby dinosaur dragon. And I went and saw the first Super Mario Brothers movie with my brother-in-law. It was a really fun time. And my sister is pregnant this year, so maybe me and him will get to go sometime before their baby is born. Because I think this movie comes out in April, and she's due at the end
Yeah.
of May. But just have great memories of playing. I was mostly a Mario Kart gamer. I didn't play many of the other games, but memories of playing Mario Kart, memories of going to
Yeah.
see the movie with my brother-in-law, and yeah, I think this is going to be like a safe, good time at the movies movie.
Yeah. Yeah. The first one was a kids movie, like an actual kids movie that's not like also entertaining adults. And
Right.
I think that is something that doesn't get made as much. So it's pretty cool that this exists. Yeah. Trent, what's your next pick?
All right, I'm going to stick in the semi cartoon realm, a movie that I forgot was actually coming out because this movie almost never existed at all. So I am taking Coyote versus
Oh
Acme.
my gosh.
I'm so excited that this project is like even exists with like arguably one of the greatest pitches I've ever heard. That like the Wile E. Coyote is suing Acme products for not allowing their products to work. Written by James Gunn, by the way. Like this, or one of the writers
Oh,
is James Gunn on the
wow.
script. John Cena's in this. Will Forte, who's hilarious, is playing the lawyer for Wile E. Coyote. It's gonna blend cartoon and live action. I think this movie could be like a stealth hit with like again like families this year. So I'm really excited to watch this one.
Yeah, this was going to be my next pick.
Oh, good. I was debating taking it.
Joseph getting robbed tonight.
I completely agree with everything you said. The premise of this movie sounds absolutely hilarious. And I need to watch they didn't market it. I don't think they marketed it very well, but there was like a Looney Tunes movie last year.
Yeah.
With Daffy and
Porky
Marvin
Pig.
the Martian that I need to see. What was it, like the
day the Earth blew up or something? I
think.
Yeah. So I need to watch that because I actually really like Looney Tunes. I remember when Looney Tunes Back in Action came out, the one that had Brendan Fraser in it, and really liked that one. I remember watching all the Bugs Bunny cartoons as a kid, and the rest of the Looney Tunes. Probably my favorite, Speedy Gonzales.
Yeah.
But we had a really good time. We had like the DVD collection of Looney Tunes. But yeah, what insane person thinks up this brilliant idea for a movie?
Seriously.
Wile E. Coyote goes to court because all the stuff he buys keeps blowing him up. Like, it's hilarious.
It's
I think
perfect.
It could be a sleeper hit too. And I want this movie to do well because I think Looney Tunes doing well will help spur the Muppets doing well, and I want the Muppets to do well.
There we go.
Because I think the two of them are a little similar.
Yeah, they are. They are.
And they're trying to bring the Muppet Show back, so I need to try and remember to watch it. I think it's next week, and Sabrina Carpenter is the guest host. But we're not talking about we're not talking about the Muppets. We're talking about the Looney Tunes, and really excited for this movie.
Great pick, Trent. Great pick. I forgot about this one too. It's a great pick. All right, Joseph, what are you gonna do? You've been robbed a couple times.
Let me see. You guys haven't taken everything from me, but let me go back to my roots, to my first love, Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Give me Maul Shadow Lord.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I wasn't convinced, and then the trailer came out last week.
Maul Shadow Lord.
And it looked really good. I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch it. It looked really good.
I did. It looked like animation style of Clone Wars, Dave Filoni, handprint, but it's like organized crime, like mob bosses, and Darth Maul being a mob boss. Like, heck yeah.
Josh, have you seen the trailer?
I have. Yeah. Yep. I watched it.
The shot that sold me was when Darth Maul throws his lightsaber like a boomerang and it cuts 3 stormtroopers in half. And I was like, this doesn't look like the early episodes of The Bad Batch. This looks like the later episodes of The Bad Batch. So, yeah, I wasn't sold on it, but I actually think it's going to end up being really good.
Yeah, I mean, love Maul. Filoni loves Maul. It's going to have some deepening of the lore, which I'm always about that. I mean, this is, this will come up throughout the year in different discussions we have, but as Dave Filoni's success right now in his new job, but like this is where he's in his element, like this is where he's really in his bag, is making these kinds of shows. So I think it's going to be good too. Yeah. All right. Maul Shadow Lord, off the table. All right. I got 2 picks left. I'm gonna make them right here. I cannot believe we haven't talked about it yet, guys. I can't even say that I wanted to pick it, but it's here. So we have to talk about it. The Mandalorian and Grogu is coming out this year.
Yes, it is.
And so I am going to pick that with my next pick. Clearly none of us are feeling good about this movie if it went all the way to round 4. I mean, we're talking about Star Wars' most successful characters in the post movie era coming to the big screen, and it feels like no one's excited about this movie.
Well, it was funny. I think there was like an article written, or maybe it was just a tweet. I saw something the other day that was like, I can't believe there's only one trailer out for this movie.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
That's like Star Wars big return to the big screen since Rise of Skywalker. They should be like marketing the heck out of this.
Yes.
And like they're holding back for some reason. And I'm like, I understand not spoiling everything, and I appreciate that, but like the brand is hurting right now. You got to give people gas. Like you got to be giving people more than just like that one. And that teaser trailer they showed really didn't show anything.
No.
So I don't know what they're doing. Again, sort of like Doomsday. I'm rooting for this movie. I like Jon Favreau.
Same.
I like Dave Filoni.
Same.
We got Rebels characters showing up in this.
So that's where I've not to cut you off, but like that is where I'm nervous. Like,
sure, me too.
I've done like the roller coaster experience on this. Like when it first got announced, I was so mad. I'm like, why are we making this a movie and not a TV show? Then I was like, well, it's Jon Favreau, and like Jon Favreau directing a big budget movie is like a hit 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
And so, but then I saw the trailer and I'm like, all right, if you were telling me that we were taking Mando and Grogu out of the Filoniverse to just go do a big budget side adventure that gets back to the roots of what the show was in season 1, but with Jon Favreau directing with a lot of money behind it, I'm sold. But it feels like it's more about setting up this, heir to the Empire plot line that's going on in the Filoniverse, and they're using a lot of volume, it looks like, in the trailer, and it just feels like here's season 4, but on a TV, on a movie screen instead. Yep. And like, that's not what I would have hoped for this movie. So that is what makes me nervous. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I don't know. To me, that doesn't sell me as much. Like, I love the Rebels characters, but I'd rather see them in their own side of the universe on the TV side of things, not in this movie.
And the thing too is that it seems like the only Rebels character we're going to see is Zeb, which is fine because I love Zeb. But I think we can all agree season 3 wasn't great.
No, it wasn't.
I thought there was a lot of stuff that they kind of botched in season 3. The Jack Black episode is, in my opinion, the worst episode of the series.
I forgot about that, man. It's so bad.
But yeah, they've had 2 box office bombs in a row with Solo, which, Trent, I know that you kind of like Solo.
I like Solo, but yeah.
But Solo was a flop. But, whatever anybody wants to say about it, it was a flop.
Yeah.
Actually, I guess there's been three in a row, because episode 8 kicked off and I say this as an episode 8 fan, episode 8 kicked off the problems.
Yeah.
For whatever it was, episode 8 is the point. Then Solo, I frankly just thought was really bland, and then episode 9 killed the franchise at the movie theater for 7 years.
Yeah.
The Mandalorian season 1 really good, season 2 really good, and then the Mandalorian character since season 2 has been really weird.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because they did the stuff with Book of Boba Fett, which I didn't think was a good show, even though the Mandalorian episode in it was good. But they brought the Mandalorian and Grogu back together in a different TV show.
Yep.
Undid the emotional hook at the end of season 2, because I thought season 2 was a perfect ending. I thought they could have ended the show at season 2 and been done.
Absolutely.
Completely agree.
And so then they come into this one, and this is the big return.
Yeah.
This, like the Captain America trailer for Doomsday, this screams desperation.
Yep.
It screams, we need to sell Baby Yoda or Grogu, whatever. We need to sell Grogu toys, and we just need to get people in the movie theater. Yeah. And I think the Star Wars brand, again, for what it's worth, hasn't been great the last few years.
No.
Season 3 of The Bad Batch, I actually thought was really good, but you have all of the controversy with The Acolyte, which was a failure as a show. Skeleton Crew was good but forgettable. Ahsoka was kind of divisive and not as accessible to casual fans, which is a fair criticism.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Season 3 of The Mandalorian wasn't great. Obi-Wan Kenobi was mid to slightly above mid with good emotional stakes. And so the brand is just damaged, and this just screams desperation. I think that's why everyone's so cautious, and they're not showing it off any.
Right. Now the reason I pick it is because the potential of this is that it restores that like feeling of seeing a Star Wars movie in the theaters and being like kind of blown away at the
Yeah,
spectacle of
for
it.
sure.
I do think that's still possible.
Absolutely.
And if they make it a 2 hour Mando episode, doesn't even have to be the quality of The Marshal. But if they make a good 2 hour Mandalorian episode and it's just a little one off adventure,
yeah,
that is good. Like this movie can't be mid. Like,
right.
I mean, it has the ability to, like, the potential to
Yeah,
be, but it's a death knell for Star Wars theatrically, in my opinion.
I agree.
If it's mid, like this has to be good.
It has to be really good. Yep.
Yeah.
I completely agree. All right. With my last pick, I'm gonna pick something that I already know is gonna be controversial. Like not to us here, but like it's the world at large, the social media. This is going to be controversial when it comes out, but I personally am very excited. Because this is a story that meant a lot to me as a kid, and it's a director and creator who I am very fond of. That's why I'm picking the new Narnia movie by Greta Gerwig coming to theaters and then Netflix at the tail end of this year.
Uh-huh.
So this is Narnia, the Magician's Nephew.
Uh-huh.
This is not The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. From what I understand, prequel.
Mm-hmm.
I've never read it. I've never consumed that story. I did read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe as a kid, and there you go. Flex a little bit, Joseph. Greta Gerwig's not gonna hide it. She's a loud and proud in her movies feminist. And she's gonna bring that voice to the world of Narnia. I am sure of it. And there's gonna be a lot of people that are mad that their Narnia got woke overnight. But personally, I want to see what she does with it because she's an extremely talented creator.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know much about the Magician's Nephew story, but she's planning to make 3 of these movies. And so if it takes us into The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe and on, those are movies that I do care a lot about. And I think they're, they're great fantasy stories and great faith stories for children. So I'm very curious to see what she does with it. I am very, very interested. Yeah, let's see what this Narnia movie is all about.
Go ahead, Trent.
No, I'm sort of everything you said, Josh. Like I haven't read it either. Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, big deal. For me in my youth, that was like an official church outing. Was going to the theater to see the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe back in the day. So yeah, very curious. I think it's so funny that like they're being as tight-lipped about this as like they are about Doomsday. Like the music composer was like, all I can say is that like I am working on it and I'm legally like not allowed to say anything else.
Wow.
Like, and so I'm very curious. I agree with you, Josh, that like I'm sure like Greta's gonna put her own stamp on it, which is not for everybody, but like for me, her track record's pretty impeachable.
Yeah.
Like Lady Bird, masterpiece.
Yeah.
Little Women, masterpiece. Barbie, not a masterpiece, but it's really going
Very
for something, and I respect it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm curious, and I, like you said, I know it means a lot to a lot of people, so I genuinely understand the apprehension. But I'm curious, and I'm with an open mind at this moment in time. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the Debbie Downer.
No, do it, Joseph. Be yourself.
I am not personally, I am not optimistic about this adaptation of Narnia.
Yeah.
I get it about her. I think it just clashes with kind of the classical nature of Narnia.
Yeah. Well,
the set photos of the I'm gonna do my best. The set photos of the magician's nephew appear to be set in around the 1950s,
okay.
which is a problem because it's like 60 years before The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which very importantly is set during World War II.
Right.
That's true.
Right.
Which, and this is true, took place from 1939 to 1945.
Correct.
I don't like that The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is probably going to end up being in the 90s or 2000s. Because I think the themes of innocence but also war
Yeah.
are very prevalent
Yeah.
in the whole story, Chronicles of Narnia as a whole. I don't want to get the podcast canceled. If Aslan is a female lion, I'm just not going to be there. I don't have ill will toward the movie, and if it gets people to read the books, that's great. I'm not going to be there. It's not my thing.
Sure.
Because just Aslan is the Jesus allegory of of the story. Now, I hope it's a good adaptation, because I enjoyed the first two movies, and then Voyage of the Dawn Treader I did not like. I'm curious about it, but I am very not hopeful for it as a Narnia adaptation. Now, from a technical and a filmmaking perspective, I'm sure it's going to be great.
Yeah.
But I think they're doing, just from changing the time setting and changing some things here and there, I think they're doing too much to mess with
altering. Yeah. I mean, I can understand, like, if you, especially like owning the books, reading the story, like being close to the original material, like anytime we've seen it happen a million times. Anytime it can go one of two ways. It can be a hit and people are like, I appreciate this reinterpretation, or it can be a disaster. So my curiosity is partly because of that too, because I could see this going either way with you know, really changing the context of what the original story is about.
And I think it's a more classical tale, like Lord of the Rings, although the styles are very, very, very different. But it's a classical fantasy story, and I think just the time settings are important to when the story happens.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Not being in relation to World War II could be a problem.
Yeah,
and then with the magician's nephew, that probably happens in like 1900.
Yeah,
maybe like a late 1890s, because I won't spoil who the main character of Magician's Nephew is if you guys haven't read it. But yeah, I have a lot of apprehensions about this one.
Yep,
it's fair.
Again, even if I don't go and see it, I hope it drives people to go and read the original books. So, I'm not sitting here like, I hope this woke piece of crap fails and makes like $0. I'm just like, look, this one might not be for me, and I'll just stick with the classic Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe movie and the books, and we'll call it a day.
That's fair.
There you go.
And that's what I'm excited about too. Like, regardless of what choices she even makes with Aslan, like personally, I would like to see how, even if Aslan is female in this movie, I personally would like to see how embedded is the faith story still in this story.
Mm-hmm.
And can a general audience, whether they're like coming to this knowing the story of the gospel or not actually still have an attachment to the story of the gospel through this movie. Like I will be that would be really cool if that happened.
Yeah, and
And
you know,
it may not happen. And that's what this is a curiosity thing for me too. Like can that happen with so many changes to the, original material?
because if you take, this is going to be a very different example, but something that is, I'm just like, this isn't for me. I don't begrudge anybody watching it, and if it drives them to the Bible, I'm really glad.
Yeah.
But just like the Chosen is just
True.
it's not for me. It's,
Yeah.
If people watch it, I'm like, hey, cool, good for you. I'm glad you like it. But just not for me. So it's kind of like, hey, y'all do your thing. As long as, now if she turns Narnia into Game of Thrones, that's a different story.
They were in a whole other conversation.
Yeah, we're in a different world.
Now that one I might
Yeah,
be
that'd be
grabbing.
crazy.
I might be grabbing the torches and the pitchforks on that one. Like, no. You missed the point on that one. But if it's just changes, it's just, at the end of the day, it's a book series.
Yeah.
And if you want to, if you don't like the movies or either the old or the new movies, you still got the book series. So, whatever.
Yeah. You're right. And it's going to be interesting because it's a Netflix movie. So how wide does this reach? Will it make a drop at the box office, or is Netflix going to pull it off of theaters after a week? Like I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
I think it will be interesting to see the reaction of basically the Christian community, because Narnia is like, Narnia is unabashedly,
it's beloved.
It's unabashedly a Christian work.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
So I'm interested to see the dynamic there of, if a bunch of Christians don't go and see this, how much, but it still has the reputation of being a big Christian work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How much does that affect its box office and continuing the series and everything?
Yeah.
I would like to see the whole series get made, because there's some crazy stuff that goes on. But
yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. All right, you got one more pick, Joseph.
I don't know. This is kind of like the Mr. Irrelevant pick for me. I've got stuff. Let me run through. I'll give some of my shout outs. I don't think I'm going to pick Toy Story 5.
I know. I was close to it too, man.
I thought about it.
I'm just, and I've liked the first 4. I think this one will be fine, but I wish they kept it at 3. Toy Story was like a perfect trilogy. It's like if they never made a 4th Indiana Jones movie and just left it at 3. I'm not going to pick Shrek 5, but I'm going to give a shout out. Cautiously optimistic, but I think that one could be a big old pile of crap.
I think it got pushed to next year too.
Oh, it did?
I think it's 2027 now, yeah.
Well, it was supposed to come out in the same month as Dune and Avengers Doomsday, so
that's
it's
right.
probably a smart move. Supergirl is on here.
Yeah.
I think it'll be good. I think it'll be at least a fun adventure. The Punisher has a TV special this year.
Yep.
And my beloved Lord of the Rings has season 3 of Rings of Power.
Wow, not picking it.
And I'm not going to pick it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Strange New Worlds, I think, has a season 4 this year. Season 3 was a dip. Still had some good episodes in it, but it was definitely a dip from the first 2 seasons. So I think, all that being said, I will take Daredevil Born Again.
Wow.
I was wondering.
Okay, that's interesting. I wasn't sure. All right.
I enjoyed season 1 for what it was. I think they made the best of the situation with the change in creative teams. But there was some stuff, and with the trailer that came out recently, I think season 2 will be tighter. I think it'll be more of a consistent tone. And I think they have more of an overarching story that they want to tell on the New York street level, especially with the tie-ins with the Punisher special that I have no idea when it comes out. Potential tie-ins with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I would like to see if they even mention Thunderbolts at all, because the end battle of
True.
Thunderbolts was in New York.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think bringing, and I think we've talked about it before too, I think the way to move forward with the Disney Plus shows is make them street level.
Yep.
And you can have those characters jump to movies sometimes. Obviously, street level characters in a Spider-Man movie makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I think leaving the big event stuff to the movies is what's going to sustain the brand. But Daredevil, I mean, if you look all around at Marvel television, I think Netflix Daredevil is probably still the pinnacle of what a Marvel TV show has ever made.
Yeah.
So I think you keep the character going. So looking forward to Daredevil Born Again Season 2.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I got to catch up from season 1 like we talked about. But I do think that's something I will want to catch up on because I love Daredevil. All right, Trent, round us out. Last pick.
Yeah, I'll do some quick honorable mentions as well. One Piece Season 2, a lot of fun on Netflix. Right. One Piece, great pirate adventure. Ahsoka Season 2, curious about where they're going.
Yeah.
Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, pleasant surprise. Excited
great
for
show.
2. Great show. Devil Wears Prada 2, iconic movie of the early 2000s. A lot of the original cast and crew returning, so very high hopes in the Neely Morrison households for that one, but we'll see. And I'm going to be bold here. I'm going to pick a movie that I may not even see, depending on what it actually is, but I'm still going to pick it anyway. Oh. I'm gonna pick Clayface.
Oh, okay. I like the pick.
I like it because it's such a weird thing. It is a weird character for them to be doing as like the third movie in the DCU. Yeah. Mike Flanagan, I'm not a big horror person, but I have seen a couple of things. The Dr. Sleep Shining prequel he made a couple years ago is a really good movie. Gerald's Game is really good. Hush is really good. So he wrote the screenplay for this. And he said the primary inspiration for this movie was the 2 Clayface episodes of Batman the Animated Series.
Oh, that's
which
cool.
Is a foundational TV show for Trent in getting into all of this stuff. And specifically those 2 episodes are like 2 of the best. Like if somebody asked me like, I don't want to watch the whole series, but give me like 10 episodes, those 2 Clayface episodes would for sure be on it. Just the stuff visually that like Clayface can do. I'm so curious to see how that translates into live action. So yeah, as long as it's not too scary that I'm like, nope, that's not for me. I'm really curious about this and excited to see what it could be in September.
Yeah. This one was on my radar too because, well, it'll be. You mentioned at the beginning, Joseph, like this movie might make $75 million, which is unheard of for a Superman or superhero movie to like be that little accessed by the wider public. So like, I'm curious, like, will we have like a cult classic superhero movie?
And it's probably $75 million might make it a commercial success.
Yeah,
it might. It really might.
I think James Gunn has said that it will have a smaller budget because they know it's a riskier
which is cool.
thing.
I want to see what that looks like. That could be the future of what we're looking at anyway. So
right,
maybe 75 million probably in this day and age probably would not.
But but
I'm saying it might. The low budget now might be 100 million.
Right.
And then you have your marketing. But if it makes 200 million, that might be enough.
It might be.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't do horror of any kind, so I don't know if I'm going to see this one.
Yeah, it could be tough. It could be
which
tough.
I also think is a strength of the new DCU. Like,
right.
I don't really care to watch Peacemaker that much.
Sure.
I didn't watch Creature Commandos. I probably won't watch Clayface. But Superman, Lanterns, and Supergirl, I'm like, hey, let me just get some of that. And I think it'll be easier to pick and choose what you want to watch and not be as lost. They'll be the main storyline that they have.
Right.
But it's not going to be Peacemaker. And it's not going to be Creature Commandos.
Right. You could skip it and probably be fine, which is like refreshing.
Yeah.
It's very refreshing.
And he may have his movie here and then pop up in a little minor role in whenever they make the DCU Batman.
Yeah.
And this movie would just enhance that, but it wouldn't be necessary. You show up and he's an established villain in a Batman universe, and you're like, oh yeah, makes total sense. Batman has like
Which
500 villains.
they're setting this up a little bit because in the said photos for Clayface, there were posters on a alley for the Flying Graysons in the background. So people are like, oh, they're already setting some stuff up here.
Man, I'm gonna freak out if we get Nightwing.
Yeah, I really would love it.
That would be really cool. It'd be really, really cool. Okay, that's our draft. We got them all picked. My roster's looking like this. I ended up with the Odyssey, Project Hail Mary, X-Men 97 Season 2, The Mandalorian and Grogu, and Narnia the Magician's Nephew. Joseph, you ended up with Dune Part 3, Avengers Doomsday, The Legend of Aang, Maul Shadow Lord, and Daredevil Born Again Season 2. And Trent, you ended up with Spider-Man Brand New Day, Lanterns, Super Mario Galaxy, Coyote vs. Acme, and Clayface. How we feeling?
I'm feeling good. I followed my heart and I stuck to it. That I was like, you got obviously, like me being in third, you guys took some stuff that was higher on my radar, but I'm not upset with it. I don't even think I really settled for any of my picks. So I'm feeling good.
And I think I mostly like my picks. I think all of us have at least one thing that we're like, I don't really know about this one.
Yeah.
Well, let's check it out.
Yep. I'm telling you, I think this year has a lot of those.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
There's a lot of boom bust potential in this draft.
Now I do think each of us does have safe picks too. Like just clock it safe.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it'd be interesting to come back at the end of the year and see what it looks like.
Yeah. I'm pumped. And what did we not talk about that will rise to the surface as like a hit?
Supergirl would have made my list. If there was like one more round, I feel like Supergirl was going on somebody's board.
Something else that because that was probably gonna end up on my list too had we done another round. But another show not mentioned that I feel like could be in that category we're talking about, Vision Quest. Quest.
Marvel's being so cagey that I'm like, they must think this show's important.
I think it's going to be
definitely coming in 26, but we don't want to tell you anything. And I'm like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And what will be this year's Sinners and K-pop Demon Hunters?
Right, exactly. The thing that we have no clue about. Yep.
Like we don't even know it exists right now.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. I can't wait to find out. out. Well, that's gonna do it. Go ahead.
Steven Spielberg has
disclosure. How did I forget
a science fiction movie coming out this year?
Yes. That would have been on my radar too.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird because it's not IP, but it's genre and
it's Spielberg.
It's freaking Steven Spielberg. Like I will definitely be in theater for that one.
Yeah, me too.
Something else, another one that's like very, very vague in the trailer, like very, very vague of what this is about. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's going to wrap it for today's episode. As always, you can listen to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us at The Stinger Pod. Trent, Joseph, it's been a pleasure as always. We'll be back to talk more fandom entertainment soon. So we will talk to y'all next time. Thank you so much for listening.